Hey guys, Jason. Here recently I've been getting a lot of emails, particularly in the last day, asking me about Quarkcoin. Now, the question's been raised about how it has so many coins. A lot of people find this an issue because they look and they say, well, Bitcoin's only ever going to have 21 million coins. Litecoin's only going to have 84 million coins. Why does Quarkcoin, or as they're officially going to be calling it here recently, is they're just going to call it Quark. But why does Quark have so many coins? And this is a very interesting topic. And, I struggle with this because, of course, I'm a big researcher. I love knowledge. I love looking into things. And there's reasons on both sides. The people that develop Quark have an idea of why it should be so many coins. Then there's, the counter argument why there shouldn't be. But I'm going to give you kind of my whole analysis on this. So, over Thanksgiving break, we had Thanksgiving. I was talking to some family about Quarkcoin. Or not Quarkcoin, about Bitcoin. And I was telling my uncle about, Bitcoin, because I told him about it back when it was like $50. I was like, yeah, it's hit like $1,100 now, which is crazy. And he's like, well, man, that's just too expensive. I don't see if anyone can afford to get into that. I try to explain how, you can divide Bitcoins up. There's multiple, decimal levels of Bitcoin. The thing, though, is I get emails and, YouTube messages about this all the time. It's a mentality. People don't want to buy, a fraction of a Bitcoin. They want to buy a whole Bitcoin. But most people can't afford a whole Bitcoin. So, it's kind of interesting because, Litecoin did this in the beginning. They have, 84 million Litecoins. And yet, one Litecoin is still worth, like, $40 now? So, when we talk about altcoins, one of the things people get really distracted by is all these coins are just experiments. And this is such a hard issue for me to push through to people. Bitcoin is an experiment. Litecoin is an experiment. So is Purecoin. So is Primecoin. So is Quirk. All of these different cryptocurrencies are just experiments. Guess what? The computer was an experiment. Guess what? It became very, very successful. I have no doubt in my mind that certain coins, or I don't know which of all of them, but certain coins are going to get very successful. Some are going to crash and burn. The question is, what coins are going to do good? What coins are going to do bad? If I knew that, if I, had a definite answer on that, I'd be a multi-millionaire and wouldn't have to be doing these videos. But we don't know. So one of the things that Quirk brings to the table is an experiment. They said, well, let's try to have, I think it's over 300 million coins. And, I don't have a problem with that. I think it's an experiment. Now, we can discuss about how those coins came to existence. But the issue at topic right now is it logical for, plus 300 million coins? Well, so I was messing around the computer with some numbers. If Quark was the same value of Bitcoin, and Bitcoin right now is sitting at about $13 billion, and divided by about roughly 300 million coins, each Quark coin would be worth about $50. Still $50, which is quite remarkable. That's a lot of coins. So when we talk about, these altcoins, we talk about experiments. Each coin, shifts and alters the previous coins that it, resemble, its predecessors. Litecoin try to have faster transaction speeds. Purecoin's more about, keeping money in a certain wallet and letting you get interest on it. There are certain coins, I forget the name of it, Freight coin or something like that, where you constantly are losing money. The idea is that you have to spend it or you're going to lose money. There's a lot of interesting ideas out there in the cryptcoin, world. And, people look at them as pure investments, and you can't. These are experiments. There are successful experiments, and there are failed experiments. Some just happen to make money, and some happen to don't. And so when people, right now people are trying to make money on these coins, they're trying to throw money at these coins. And that's why I don't give financial advice. I tell people, these are just experiments. These are just people trying ideas out. And yes, some of them are very successful. Coins like Purecoin are very successful. They had a good idea. Sonny King had a good idea. He put it into application and it worked. And people value that. Bitcoin, it was an experiment. It had, an idea. It had certain requirements, certain settings. And those seem to be really liked by the community. So when we talk about these coins, people get so wrapped up of, because it has 300 million coins, it's going to fail. Everything's an experiment. Instead of, calling them out, you should let these things play out. And that's one of the interesting things. I think it's quite interesting because, you have 300 million coins. Right now, it seems like a big deal, and the issue really at hand is who holds all those coins, and I'll do that in our video explaining it. But one of the big issues right now is where do these how do all these just having millions of coins, hundreds of millions of coins in the market, how does that work on an ecosystem? And I think that's an experiment we all kind of want to see what goes on, because it all relates back to a very simple principle. People like round numbers. Like I talked about in my previous videos, there's a reason there's buy walls at even numbers. There's a reason there's a huge buy wall, 1,200 and not 1,059. There's these mental ideas of even perfect round numbers. And so when I tell someone, well, when someone asks me, I would like to buy a Bitcoin, I'm like, well, Bitcoin's $1,100. That turns a lot of people off. Even when I try to explain to them in great detail that you can buy 1/100th of a Bitcoin, they're like, well, why would I want to buy a fraction of a Bitcoin? I want a full Bitcoin. And that's what happens with these cryptocurrencies. And Quark is just trying that. They're saying, let's try, instead of having a smaller amount of coins, let's try to have 300 million plus coins, and let's just see if it works. It might not work, it might, but that's one of those things where we have to let the market decide. But from a personal standpoint, I see it as an experiment, and one I wish to watch and see what happens. Have a great day, guys.